Thank you, Cliff, so much. I appreciate that more than you know. Cliff and I have a running dialogue. I was, of course, born and raised in Alabama, and you heard all those schools. We Alabama boys require lots of training. In my former life, I also served as the first chairman of the advisory board of the Franklin College at UGA. So I'm a bulldog every day except when they play Bama. So go Dogs and Roll Tide. Fellow Rotarians, General Rosenblum, to all of you, it's such an honor to serve at Bethesda and live in this incredible place called Savannah every day. I've lived such a blessed life to have the opportunity to go to West Point, to serve our great nation for 22 years, and then to be a headmaster for 20 years. But I must tell you that what I like to do today is tell you the love story of Bethesda, the new Bethesda. And you will pardon me if I don't talk a lot about the past, but I just want to put everything in context for you and tell you what we're doing now. First, I just need to salute all those who came before us at Bethesda, all those of you who served on a board in the past or who are now. 279th year, if you can imagine that. We're getting ready to go into our 4th century in a couple of decades, and that's pretty amazing, since 1740. And as a wise mentor once told me when I was getting ready to take command of my 2nd Infantry Company, he said, be real careful, Mike, a lot got done before you got there. And that was the case, definitely at Bethesda. I will tell you that I would like to salute David Tribble, Dr. David Tribble, Doctor of Ministry, incredible leader, just as some senior leaders had on West Point in transformation. David served there for 25 years, and if you can imagine when David arrived in 1991, Bethesda was totally white, totally segregated, completely, if you would, a reform school environment. And to move that to where we have done today, I simply salute him. David and I are in contact. I run things by him. I consider him a friend and a mentor. He also told me, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, he said, you gotta be a Rotarian. That's kind of your base. Those are your people. So we did that. So I would just like to salute David. I want to talk today about 3 things: Bethesda, Academy, and leadership. First, quickly, Bethesda. Brief history, founded in 1740 by the Reverend George Whitfield, the oldest orphanage and child care facility in America. Incredible legacy, and just so you know, most of you do, I think, but for those of you who are new, the Rotary Club of Savannah has had literally hundreds of years of involvement with Bethesda, from sponsoring events there, from sponsoring young people, from making sure they all had Christmas presents and birthday presents and that work projects were accomplished. Brandon Robinson, who I'm going to introduce in a minute, works with John Redden every day, and he was telling me this morning, he said, you know, sir, there are all kinds of folders and files in there about the Rotary Club and things that Rotary did with Bethesda. So we have a great history together. Would like to thank some folks around the room. I would like to ask our current members of the Board of Governors to stand just for a moment. I'd like to start with Ted Moore. Ted has accepted the challenge. He is the incoming chairman of the board at Bethesda, the Board of Governors. Ted took it and volunteered and took it upon himself when I arrived to introduce me to all of the leaders of higher education in the local area. Linda Blyken, Kathy Love, Cheryl Dozier, to really get to know the entire area. Ted, thank you so much for doing that. The Dean of the Southern Headmasters, Paul Presley. I knew Paul in my first headship at Riverside Military Academy 20 years ago in 1999. Paul needed no introduction to me. He vouched for Bethesda when I was interviewing. Paul introduced me to all of the other independent school heads and educational leaders in the area. They took that time to do that, and that was so appreciated. And Cliff McCurry, what can I say about Cliff? He knows everybody. In Alabama, we would call him the Chief Bubba, if you would. But Cliff, I probably have asked Cliff the question, Cliff, who is that? What do they do? What's their role? But they've been so patient with me, and I appreciate that. I believe I have the greatest job on the planet. I get to live in that beautiful home right there next to those cows, 24 new calves. I'm well supervised by Brownie, the donkey, who makes sure that the coyotes and the wild dogs stay away from our calves. I think that the Board of Governors has probably installed a secret camera in Brownie's area so he can keep a watch on me and what I do. But I'd just like to thank my Board of Governors for trusting me with this position. Briefly, you might not remember it. I certainly do, because I was terrified. I last spoke to you in October 2016. And that was, I had been literally here for 2 or 3 months. I could find my way down here, and my application was pending. This time it feels like I'm not with strangers, but I'm with friends. So I just want to take a moment and recognize a couple of other friends. It takes a while to learn Savannah and to learn South Georgia. I'd been to North Georgia, and Gainesville was a little different. The Red Elephant Nation and that close to UGA, but Savannah was a little different. And there are some folks in the room that have helped me do that. I would just like to recognize Marjorie Young and Carriage Trade, Public Relations, Cecilia Russo Turner, Cynthia. Cynthia is Cynthia Craddock, now recently married, one of the Georgia's top 40 under 40, and then Elizabeth Poole as well, member of their staff. They have helped smooth the way and help us make a lot of connections, and I want to make sure that they know that we appreciate that with them very much. Would like to recognize in the back of the room Malcolm and Julia Butler from the fiduciary group. They manage the 401k for Bethesda's retirement plan. They've got almost $1 billion of assets under management now, and yet they take time. Anytime I have a stupid question or we want any kind of service, they certainly do that. And our Women's Board of Bethesda, who has been now in operation for over 100 years, has the Yates Astro Resolution Run every January, and they do an incredible job. They raise $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for us each year, and we certainly appreciate that. Would you please join me in thanking all those friends of Bethesda that I just mentioned? Bethesda. There are no more orphans at Bethesda. There are no more bad boys at Bethesda. There are no boys without families at Bethesda. Bethesda is now a fully accredited by SACS and Advanced Ed school, and has been for a number of years. As a matter of fact, Dr. Levitt, our Advanced Ed visit is next week. I will try to warm them up for you. Yeah, we're going to take them to Bob Turner's restaurant and schmooze them Sunday night. But we're excited about that. What does that mean? It means that you can get distracted by things like cattle and goats and a farm and lots of boys. But with working closely with the board as their teammate, we've written and developed a new plan called Lead the Way. But, just as Kirby Smart and Nick Saban and Dabo Sweeney had to make sure that their teams focused and transformed with new trends, Bethesda has had to do the same thing. So the number one priority is teaching and learning. We're all about teaching and learning. We graduated 15 boys last year. 12 went straight to college. 1 went to the Marine Corps, and 2 started work with the Georgia Ports Authority. It's all about teaching and learning and the academic piece. Yes, the rumor's true. We have sold some of our cows. Actually, folks, we sold half of them. Why? Because we were spending more money feeding cows than we were buying textbooks and workbooks and computers. So we've right-sized the herd. We weren't making any money selling eggs. We don't have chickens anymore. The goats that we have now are simply lawnmowers. We've looked, and so everything that we do now is focused on the mission. And the mission has been the same for 279 years. Love of God, love of learning, and a strong work ethic. Bethesda. Weekly worship every Tuesday. One Tuesday is voluntary Holy Communion. I joke with the boys that behavior is usually pretty good Tuesday and most of Wednesday. And then we somewhat regress. We still have a boarding program, but it's only Sunday night through Thursday night. It's 5 nights a week. It's not the whole the 7 days that you remembered. It is a Bethesda, but we are the partners with the parents and grandparents and families of these boys to work together on their behalf. If you remember the old model, and if you've been to our museum, there's a picture of these boys all well dressed on a Sunday morning in front of the main buildings at Bethesda, but they used to get shipped to public school. In 2002 to 2004, Dick Ekberg led the Promise to Keep campaign, and a number of you were very generous to support Bethesda in building our own school. And so since 2004, Bethesda has been its own middle school and high school and has graduated a number of young men, and we're very, very proud of that. Let's move now from Bethesda to academics. We've with us today an example and one that we're very proud of. And the last time I spoke, I totally did it myself, and this time I learned better. I would like to ask Philip Dove to please stand. Philip Dove is SCAD, class of 2019. He will graduate in late May with a BFA in interactive design. Lord help us, Philip, whatever that is, okay? But we're very proud of that. Philip earned a full scholarship. It's actually from Paula Wallace's family and the family of their founding family, a full academic scholarship to SCAD, and will graduate with honors, and we're very proud of that. Sitting with him is his mom, Andrea Dove. Andrea is the former director of development at Bethesda, who now works for Hunter McLean. You got to be really careful when your law firm steals your staff. But Andrea is very, very proud. Philip will graduate, and then her youngest son, Joe, is en route. He's enrolled in an engineering program at the University of Georgia. So it looks like she's going to have 3 for 3 graduate in 4 years from college. Our hat is off to you for that, to say the least. Academics, they all begin with great teachers. I would like to ask Elizabeth Peete to please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the Teacher of the Year at Bethesda, who is also one of the 3 finalists for the Top Teacher Award in the South Carolina Independent School Association. There are 124 schools in SCISA, and if you add them all up together, there are over 3,000 teachers. So to be one of the top 3 in that group, and it's the 2nd year that Bethesda has had a finalist in that group, we're very, very proud of Elizabeth. She brings 20 years of teaching experience, and she is a world-class mathematics teacher for middle school. And every afternoon, you can set your watch around. She does tutorial, and boys who haven't done well in her class or need some additional help go to see her, and their parents circle the flagpole, waiting for them to be released from additional instruction. But she does an incredible job and is very, very, very devoted to us. Elizabeth, good luck tomorrow. Have 2 young scholars to introduce to you, Austin Hartwell and Michael Jackson. Gentlemen, if you'll please stand. Austin Hartwell is going to be our valedictorian unless something terrible happens. Austin, if you'll raise your hand and wave, okay? Austin, while he was at Bethesda, has been an incredible young leader and has earned his Eagle Scout. His Eagle Scout award he earned my first year there. He did an incredible job helping enhance the fence around the farm. Standing next to them there, Michael Jackson. Michael will be the salutatorian. He also, Michael, in his spare time, he is an all-state football player. He is an all-state track athlete, discus and shot. And interestingly enough, he is the administrative manager of our entire basketball program. And we're going to talk about leadership in a few moments, but Michael is something. A big hand for these two young scholars. Two more words about academics. Don Waters talked to us the other day about move on when ready and dual enrollment. It may shock you, but I want you to know that in the new Bethesda, 1 of every 3 of our boys in the junior and senior class, 12 of 34 of our juniors and seniors are dual enrolled in college. They get 4 courses their junior year and 4 courses their senior year. They will graduate from Bethesda almost at sophomore status. And that is the case with these gentlemen as well. We're very proud of them for that. You also should know that we now have a learning specialist, Susan Boatwright, and that every boy at Bethesda has had his learning style analyzed. And so every teacher that they encounter every day knows whether that boy is a visual or an auditory or a kinesthetic learner. And they know how he perceives the world. And so they're able to design their lesson plans in a way that most fits them. So for example, in Algebra 2 class with Jennifer Duclos, she has 4 kinesthetic and 2 visual learners. And so she understands what they do, and we've been able to populate her section with that hands-on kind of teaching and learning that really makes a difference. That we find for boys is what works, and it really is. We're excited about that academic progress. Academics, thank you. Athletics. Women's board in Bethesda, fundraisers, you can't resist them. The Women's Board of Bethesda supported and built and totally renovated our weight room. And we now have the 8th wonder of the world, the Bethesda weight room. It's incredible. It's 4 incredible workout platforms that allows boys, we can work out 30 boys at a time in unison. These 2 young men here actually both squat over 500 pounds, if you can imagine. But the weight room has been incredible for us. I'd like to ask Brandon Robinson, B-Rob, to please stand. B-Rob is not only the captain of our football team, but we're going to talk about in a few minutes, but in terms of leadership, he is also our student council president. And that weight room has fueled not only success in football. We were 8 wins and 3 losses this year and finished in the Final 4 in Skisa in football. We also were in the Final 4 in basketball, made it all the way to the state semifinal, even though we only had 1 senior. And interestingly enough, we finished 2nd last year in track. I think we're going to challenge this year for the state championship, even though we don't have a track. And our boys run around the grass and run around the roads at Bethesda, and Cheryl Dozier is gracious enough to let us practice there as well. Very, very appreciative of that. B-Rob is my go-to guy. You know how you all need a go-to guy? When I have a student issue going on, and I have some help I might need, whether it's with unruly middle schoolers or trash on the campus or whatever, B-Rob is generous enough very responsive to our direction, and he's part of our executive team. He also spends time working for the gentleman beside him. John Redden, please, if you'd stand up. John came to us when Andrea departed to go to Hunter McLean. John came to me virtue of the recommendation of Paul Presley, who just said, Mike, you need to call John. John is the former incredibly successful director of advancement at Country Day. Owned his own business for a number of years, came back, and John, for me, since I don't know Savannah, I'm Mr. Outside, he's Mr. Inside, and does know them as well, and has worked well. B-Rob's internship is to work on his skills and work in terms of the development effort with John Redden, which is incredibly happy. Big hand for me, Rob, please. John. Leadership. Those of us who have served our nation understand its importance, but all of us do in business. Our goal is for someday for an executive director or a general manager or someone in this area to say, I need a young man for a tough leadership challenge, bring me a Bethesda graduate. Our idea is that we have academic teachings about leadership, and I don't need to teach them the details of situational leadership theory or expectancy theory, but we do need to teach them some principles, some things that work. General Rosenblum said things like leadership through presence precedes leadership by example. You got to be there before you can lead by example. And some of those things that they learn about taking care of their subordinates and taking care of their team, that they do. But what we do is we give our boys a chance in every part of Bethesda, whether it's in the boarding cottage for those who live there, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in the work-study site, whether it's on an athletic team, they get a chance to lead at 4 levels. First, they become a follower and a competent doer. Second, they learn how to be a one-on-one mentor to new boys. Third, probably about the time they're a 10th or 11th grader, they learn to be a small group leader. And last but not least, they can become like me, Rob, and become, if you would, a leader of others. We have a program, our work-study program, that has been endowed by South State Bank and actually very well supported by the gifts of Mary Ellen Yarborough and some others. And our Director of Work Studies, who also helps our community relations effort, is Lisa Wilkes. Lisa, would you please stand? Lisa has done an incredible job for us with this. There is an organization in keeping with our mission out of Denver called the Center for Work Ethic Development. And they've done research on the 7 factors that help adolescents learn how to seek, obtain, and keep a job and do well. They're called the 7 A's. And Lisa pioneered our partnership with this organization out of Denver. And so our boys, all of our 10th through 12th grade boys have a working internship. And every Friday they get feedback, verbally and in writing, on how well they did that week on the 7 A's. Lisa always also helps arrange externships and those kind of things. We have a connection now with Georgia Port Authority, with JCB, with the Marine Logistics and Operations Terminal Group, and it gives another outlet for our boys and them having a chance to go. They're not all going to college, but we want them all to have a chance to go, whether it's in the military or to a meaningful organization. Lisa, thank you for all you do. Where do we go from here? Our big initiative called Lead the Way is establishing not only an academic program and the opportunity to have experiences, but we're beginning a guest speaker program that will also be speakers and seminar leaders to bring experts from throughout the world to come and share leadership with our boys at Bethesda. The model we're using will sound very familiar to some of you. The best leadership model, interestingly enough, although I proudly taught leadership at West Point, the actual best model in non-military schools is at the University of Richmond. It's at the Jepson School of Leadership Studies. Bob Jepson has generously agreed to fly several of us up to the University of Richmond and visit their program in the next month or so. But we're modeling all the experiences and the internships and all of those programs off of the collegiate level of what they do at the University of Richmond. So, not sure if you knew it or not, but we have a guru right here in Savannah for that program. We're very, very excited about that as we continue to develop and move forward in the leadership area. So there you have it. Still at the 650 acres, we still have the farm, we still have boys, but we're on the move. We're excited about what we're doing. The greatest part about my job every day is a chance to be with these boys. You might notice most Mondays I'm not wearing a tie. It's because I'm kind of out and about and hands-on and banging around the farm and kind of the other places that the boys are, but it's a great place to be. I thought I would stop now and take any questions that anybody might have, anything that you're curious about.
Aaron?
Yes, sir. Thank you. We call it the new Bethesda boy. And interestingly enough, the key component is that, first of all, they have to want to come to Bethesda. They have to want to be there. They have to be the kind of young man, the kind of boy who likes a boys' school, who likes to be outdoors, some who likes to be actively involved. But in an interview behind closed doors without their parent present, they have to say they want to come. They have to be able to do well academically, although some may have a few challenges. They have to be able to do well in what's called a mainstream classroom. We do an academic evaluation as well. We do not take boys with behavior problems. School folks don't call us and say, Johnny's having trouble, he's getting kicked out or whatever. He vaped, he got in trouble for drugs, or he did whatever. We're not going to take them. So we check their academic record and their behavioral record. Will we give a boy a chance sometimes, especially if he needs some help remedial in terms of academics? Absolutely. But we're doing college prep work. Our average SAT score is up over 115 points in a year. We're very, very excited about having young men like Philip go forward there. But it's a holistic evaluation of them. Do they want to come? And then we look at their academic and behavioral record and see if we think that would fit with us. Great question. Thank you so much.
Anyone else?